Greetings friends and welcome back to Recon by Fire. For today's match, the Imperial Knights are running a Noble Lance and are bringing 5 Helverins with Stubbers, 6 Warglaves with Meltas, and a Knight of Trapos with the enhancement for sticky objectives. Todd is in the building today ready to throw down, and he's running the Mont'ka detachment. He brought a Darkstrider, a Coldstar commander leading 3 Sunforges, an Ethereal, 2x10 Breacher teams, a Pathfinder team, 3 squads of Stealth Suits, 2x5 Vespid Stingwings, a Ghostkeel, 2 Piranhas, Riptide, and 2 Devilfish. For today's battle, we are running Mission K, which is Scorched Earth, mission rule is Stalwarts, and deployment is Search and Destroy. Time for pre-game actions, and the commander is going to give both Riptides Scout. They will both then proceed to scout towards the northern side of the board. The Piranha will follow suit, heading towards the northern objective. Second Piranha is going to creep forward along the board edge. Pathfinders are going to do a slight reposition. Top of round 1 and the tower going first, they will draw Sabotage and Containment as their secondaries for the turn. Start of the command phase, and the Ethereal will attempt to farm a command point but fails. Start of the movement phase, and the first Riptide is going to advance towards the board edge. Second Riptide will follow suit to make sure it has line of sight down the table. Piranha is going to rush ahead to not only get its seeker missiles online, but also move block for the Riptides. One Stealth Suit will peek out the side in order to spot and give reroll 1s. Pathfinders are going to push forward and behind cover. Trying to get as much firepower down the lane as possible, the Ghostkeel is going to reposition. Vespids are going to pop out and contain. Piranha is going to make sure it doesn't get blown up turn 1. Devilfish is simply going to stage for next turn. Pathfinders will spot for the Piranha as it fires into the nearby Warglaive. Knights are going to rotate ion shields on it, and it suffers 4 wounds. Stealth Suits are going to spot for the Riptide and will pop its once per game devastating wounds, firing into the gold Helverin. It absolutely pops off and makes very short work of it. Second Riptide will pop its once per game dev wounds and fire into the Warglaive, but it manages to make all its saves. Ghostkeel will fire into the same target and fails to score a wound. Pathfinders then proceed to charge the nearby Helverin in order to create a tar pit. They make sure to stay out of engagement range of the nearby Warglaive. It ends up being a noodle fight as neither Pathfinders nor Helverin manage to score a single wound. That is going to end the turn for the Tau. They will score 6 points for containment, and Sabotage is ongoing. Bottom of round 1, and the Imperial Knights are going to draw Engage on all fronts and extend battle lines as their secondaries for the turn. Atropos will sticky the home objective. Start of the movement phase, and the Warglaive is going to push towards the Piranha. Atropos will plow through the wall to get line of sight on the Riptides. It does succeed its battle shock. Warglaive will push forward to get the Riptides in Melta range. Second Warglaive is going to push towards the center and secure the objective. Helverin is going to move out to secure the natural expansion as well as getting line of sight on the Riptides. Warglaive will continue to screen out the backfield. Final Warglaive will move wholly within the center building. Helverin is going to stay on the home objective but get line of sight down the side of the board. Knights are going to spend a command point on Squire's duty, targeting the Riptide that is furthest away. Start of the shooting phase, and the Helverin will fire across the board at the targeted Riptide. Anti-Fly absolutely pops off and takes down the Riptide. Oof! Helverin will shoot out of combat into the Piranha and manages to take it down as well. It does explode, scoring Immortal on both the Riptide and the Warglaive. Warglaive within Melta range will fire on the Riptide, but it makes all of its saves. Black Warglaive into the Riptide deals no damage. Green Warglaive into the Riptide scores 2 wounds. Nearest Warglaive will fire into the same target, only 1 wound goes through and the Riptide makes its save. Finally, the Atropos will fire everything into the Riptide, leaving it at just 3 wounds remaining. Helverin guarding home will fire into the Riptide. Tau will spend a command point to reroll a save, and it lives. It's charge o'clock, and the nearby Warglaive scores a 9 on the charge roll, giving it enough distance to steal the objective. Second Warglaive is in as well. Atropos charges the Pathfinders, and he's in. Warglaive will also charge in to gain additional movement. Warglaive starts us off by sweeping into the Pathfinders and scoops up 4 of them. Atropos will get his licks in and scoops up the remainder of the squad. First Warglaive easily takes down the Riptide and it consolidates onto the point. That is going to end the turn for the Imperial Knights. They will score 2 points for engage on all fronts and 5 points for extend battle lines. At the end of the turn, the Vespids are coming up. Tau will score 3 points for completing the sabotage. Top of round 2 for the Tau, they will draw engage on all fronts and behind enemy lines as their secondaries for the turn. They control 1 objective and will score 5 points on primary. The Ethereal will successfully farm a command point. Start of the movement phase, and the Ghostkeel will get on the point and get line of sight on the Warglaive. Nearby Stealth Suits are going to do the same. Vespids are going to move behind cover. Piranha will move on to the natural expansion. Devilfish will reposition for line of sight. Riptide is going to advance to get line of sight on the Warglaive on the objective. One Stealth Suit is going to peek through the corner to be able to spot. Devilfish will reposition for line of sight and to stage for next turn. Breachers will then disembark inside the building. Lastly, Vespids are going to arrive out of deep strike behind enemy lines. For the shooting phase, the Devilfish is going to fire its secret missiles at the Warglaive on the objective. In response, Knights will rotate ion shields and it fails to suffer a single wound. Piranha fires into the Helverin on the point and leaves it at just 8 wounds remaining. Devilfish will fire into the same target, knocking off an additional 4 wounds. Riptide fires into the Warglaive on the objective, popping dev wounds and being spotted by the Stealth Suits. It leaves it at just 5 wounds remaining. Ghostkeel is up next and it manages to finally take down the Warglaive. It does explode, dealing 1 mortal to the Devilfish, 2 to the Ghostkeel, and 2 to the Stealth Suits that are nearby. Vespids will take shots at the Helverin guarding the point, but unfortunately they fail to score a single wound. It's charge o'clock and the Piranha will charge the wounded Helverin on the point. Tau will spend a command point to tank shock, taking the Helverin down to just 2 wounds remaining. The Rider attempts to slap into him but fails to score a wound. The Helverin will literally kick back with stompy feet and bring the Piranha down to 6 wounds remaining. That is going to end the turn for the Tau. They will score 4 points for engage on all fronts and 3 points for behind enemy lines. Bottom of round 2 for the Imperial Knights, they will draw cleanse and behind enemy lines as their secondaries for the turn. They control 2 objectives and will score 10 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, and the wounded Warglaive will go after the Ghostkeel and steal the objective. Tau are going to spend a command point and fire Overwatch with the Riptide. It unfortunately fails to take down the Warglaive. Slight reposition from the Helverin guarding the objective to take down the Vespids. Red Glaive will move on to the point in order to cleanse. Green Glaive will pressure the Tau's natural expansion. Helverin is going to cover the center objective. Atropos is going to tow into the nearby building to be able to get eyes on 3 different targets. Warglaive will move back into the deployment zone to help screen. Lastly, the Helverin will arrive from strategic reserves. At the end of the movement phase, Tau are going to spend a command point to rapid ingress the Crisis Suits on the southern side of the board. Imperial Knights will go down to 1 command point, targeting the Ghostkeel with Squire's duty. Start of the shooting phase, Helverin will fire into the Vespids, picking up 3 of them. Warglaive will fire at the only target it can see, which is the Piranha in combat. It manages to take it down to just a single wound remaining. Warglaive is going to be able to shoot and perform the cleanse action thanks to the mission rule. It will split fire, sending the small Mont'ka into the Piranha, taking it down, and the spear into the Devilfish, failing to score a wound. Helverin is now out of combat but still bracketed, will fire on the Devilfish and leaves it unscathed. Helverin on the objective will fire into the Riptide and manages to score a whopping 9 wounds on it. Oof. Atropos cannot see the Ghostkeel due to lone op, so will fire everything into the Devilfish and scoops it up. Green Glaive is going to fire into the Ghostkeel. It scores a wound, but between making the save and blanking the damage with the drone, it takes no wounds. Warglaive on the objective fires into the Ghostkeel. It does blank a damage, but unfortunately it's still not enough and down it goes. Helverin fires into the Stealth Suits and they make all their saves. Wounded Warglaive will attempt to charge the Stealth Suits. It fails, but it still steals away the objective. That is going to end the turn for the Imperial Knights. They will score 4 points for cleansing on 2 objectives, discard behind enemy lines for a command point, and the Helverin will begin to burn the objective. At the end of the turn, Vespids will get picked up. Top of round 3 for the Tau, they will draw Storm Hostile Objective and recover assets for the turn. They will cycle away Recover with New Orders and draw Defend Stronghold. They control 1 objective and will score 5 points on primary. The Ethereal will fail to farm a command point. Start of the movement phase, and the Devilfish is going after the wounded Helverin. Sunforges are going to get line of sight on the red Warglaive but remain in cover. Ethereal is going to reposition to screen out the backfield. Small squad of Vespid come in behind the building. The large squad will deep strike in the corner to avoid any potential rapid ingress. Breachers are coming out from the building in hopes of stealing the objective. At the end of the movement phase, Knights are going to rapid ingress the final Warglaive. Stealth suits are going to spot for the breachers, and they will fire everything into the Helverin on the point, bringing it down to 9 wounds remaining. Breachers that disembark from the Devilfish will open fire on the wounded Helverin. They manage to take it down. It does explode on the way out, dealing 2 mortals to the Devilfish, 3 mortals to the breachers, and 1 to the red Warglaive. Devilfish and the Sunforges will fire on the Warglaive. Knights are going to rotate Ion Shields in response, and it falls to 5 wounds remaining. Stealth suits will spot for the Riptide as it opens fire on the wounded Warglaive on the point and easily scoops it up. Vespids will fire into the weak armor on the backside of the Warglaive and bring it down to just 3 wounds. It's charge o'clock, and the Breachers will make their charge into the Helverin. Breachers fail to wound the Helverin and lose 2 in the process, but they do steal the objective. That is going to end the turn for the Tau. They will score 4 points for Storm Hostile Objective, and Defend Stronghold is ongoing. Bottom of round 3 for the Imperial Knights, they will draw Sabotage and No Prisoners as their secondaries for the turn. They control 1 objective and will score 5 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, and the green glaive is going after the Riptide. Atropos will plow through the wall, succeeding its battle shock test, and touch the template to be able to see both the Riptide and have a short charge into the Breachers. Red Glaive is going to remain in place to avoid the Overwatch, but the Bone Glaive is going after the Sunforges. Knights smell blood in the water, and the Black Glaive will steal the objective back from the Breachers. Sunforges will fire Overwatch but fail to score a wound. Time for shooting, and the Warglaive will fire into the Riptide. It makes all of its invuls. Helverin fires into the Riptide, and it lives. Atropos fires everything at the same Riptide, and it survives yet again. This Riptide will not go down. Helverin fires into combat and picks up 2 more Breachers. Red Warglaive fires into the Sunforges, picking up 1 and wounding another. Center Warglaive is up next and takes down the wounded Sunforge. Bone Glaive manages to take down the final Crisis Suit and wounds the commander. It's charge o'clock, and the Warglaive will make its dual charge into both the Devilfish and the commander. Second Warglaive is into the Breachers. Bracketed Warglaive will complete the trifecta. Atropos will make its charge into the Breachers on the center objective. Warglaive will make the dual charge into both the Riptide and the exposed Stealth Suit. Knights are going to spend a CP here to tank shock the Riptide, hopefully taking it down. It manages just enough, and down goes the Riptide. No CP to interrupt, so the Knights are going to start off on the objective that matters, and the Warglaive picks up all 3 Stealth Suits that will interrupt Defend Stronghold. Atropos will sweep into the Breachers, scooping up the remainder of the squad. Warglaive is up next and will split attacks, managing to take down the Coldstar and wound the Devilfish. Bracketed Warglaive will sweep into the Breachers, and thanks to sustained hits, proves to be enough to scoop up the entire squad. Warglaive will consolidate to touch the Devilfish. It fights back but does not score a wound. This does not leave room for the Black Warglaive to get in, and it remains out of combat. That is going to end the turn for the Imperial Knights. They will score 5 points for No Prisoners and will hold on to Sabotage until next turn. Tau will fail to defend Stronghold and are stuck with it next turn. Top of round 4, and Tau are going to cycle away Defend with New Orders, drawing Area Denial and Marked for Death as their secondaries for the turn. They control no objectives and will score 0 points on primary. Marked for Death targets are the 2 Helverins at full strength and the Atropos. Darkstrider is going to advance away from the Warglaive on the objective. Stealth Suits are going to move away from the Warglaive triple threat. Stealth Suits are going to bravely run away. Devilfish will fire into the wounded Warglaive and scores a wound but fails to take it down. That is going to end the turn for the Tau. They will discard both secondaries for a command point and our players decide to call it here, as the Imperial Knights will score a minimum of 20 points next turn by burning the Tau home objective, they have no chance of getting back in this game. With paint, that will make the final score 61-40 in favor of the Imperial Knights. Thank you, Todd, so much for coming out and playing. And if you like what you saw, by all means, please do hit that subscribe button and let your friends know about us. But until next time, as always, happy gaming.